In a quaint village nestled between towering mountains and dense, ancient woods, there lay a place spoken of only in hushed tones, the Whispering Forest. From the moment the first stone cottages had been laid and the earliest hearth fires lit, the forest had stood watch at the village's edge, vast and patient, its trees rising like silent sentinels toward the sky. The mountains behind the village were sharp and proud, their peaks often crowned with mist or snow, but it was the forest that truly commanded reverence. It stretched farther than the eye could see, its canopy so thick that sunlight filtered through in soft, fractured beams. The villagers believed the forest was enchanted, not because of sudden magic or visible spells, but because of what happened on moonlit nights. When the moon climbed high and silvered the leaves, the trees seemed to whisper. Soft murmurs that drifted through the air like half-remembered songs. Some claimed the whispers were warnings. Others believed they were blessings. Children were told they were lullabies sung by the forest itself. Yet many villagers avoided the woods altogether, uneasy with a place that seemed to listen as much as it spoke. Among these villagers lived a young girl named Elara. Elara was known for her curious eyes and fearless spirit. Where other children hesitated, she leaned forward. Where others accepted answers, she asked questions. She had grown up at the edge of the village, her small stone house backed by wildflowers and creeping vines that marked the forest's border. From her bedroom window, she could see the dark line of trees stretching endlessly into the unknown. Her grandmother, Maylise, had raised her since Elara was old enough to walk. Maylise was a woman of gentle strength, her hair silvered by time and her hands lined with stories. In the evenings, when the fire crackled and shadows danced along the walls, Maylise would speak of the Whispering Forest. The whispers, her grandmother would say, her voice low and steady, are the voices of ancient spirits. They remember what the world has forgotten. Elara would listen with wide eyes, leaning closer with every word. Who are they? She would ask. Guardians, Maylise would reply. Lovers. Souls bound by magic older than the mountains themselves. Most villagers dismissed Maylise's stories as folklore, relics of a time when people needed magic to explain the world. But Elara believed every word. She felt it in her bones whenever the wind stirred the leaves or the forest shadows stretched a little too far. As Elara grew older, her fascination deepened. While others tended fields or learned trades, she wandered the forest's edge, watching how the trees swayed even when there was no wind, how birds sometimes fell silent as if listening. The night she finally decided to uncover the truth came quietly. The sun had set behind the mountains, painting the sky in hues of amber and violet. Elara packed a small satchel with bread, dried fruit, and a flask of water. She lit a lantern, its warm glow flickering against the dark, and slipped from her home without waking her grandmother. The forest welcomed her with a hush. As she stepped beneath the canopy, the air grew cooler, heavier, as though charged with unseen energy. The familiar sounds of crickets and night birds faded the deeper she went, replaced by an uncanny stillness. Her footsteps seemed too loud, and she slowed, listening. The whispers began softly, so faint she thought she imagined them. They were not words at first, but feelings. Sorrow. Longing. Love. Drawn forward, Elara followed a narrow path winding deeper into the woods until the trees parted, revealing a clearing bathed in moonlight. At its center stood an ancient oak tree, massive and weathered, its trunk wide enough that 3 people could not encircle it fully. Its leaves shimmered like silver coins, rustling though the air was still. As Elara approached, the whispers grew clearer. They told of Eldrin. Eldrin had once been a powerful druid, a guardian of the forest in an age when magic flowed freely through the land. He understood the language of roots and rivers, the rhythm of the seasons, the delicate balance between growth and decay. And they told of Lyra. Lyra was a maiden from the village that existed long before Elara's own, gifted with a voice so beautiful it could calm storms and soothe wounded hearts. When Lyra sang beneath the ancient oak, the forest itself leaned closer. Their love had blossomed quietly, a meeting of magic and melody. Yet druidic law forbade such unions. Guardians were bound to the forest alone, their lives devoted to balance, not desire. Eldrin and Lyra met in secret beneath the oak, sharing stolen moments and whispered promises. But secrets rarely remain hidden forever. When they were discovered, the Council of Druids acted swiftly. Lyra was banished beyond the mountains, her songs silenced by distance. Eldrin, broken by grief, refused to abandon his love. In despair, he performed a forbidden ritual beneath the oak, binding his spirit, and Lyra's, to the forest itself so they could remain together, though never again as flesh and blood. Their love became the forest's heartbeat. As the whispers faded, Elara sank to the ground beneath the oak, tears streaming down her face. She felt their presence around her, gentle and warm. She stayed through the night, wrapped in moonlight and memory, feeling less alone than she ever had before. At dawn, she returned to the village and told their story. Slowly, fear turned to understanding. The forest was no longer a place of dread but of reverence, a living monument to love that endured beyond life itself. Years passed. Elara grew into a young woman, her bond with the forest deepening with each season. Then one autumn morning, an elderly druid named Arik arrived at the village gates. His staff was carved with symbols older than language, and his eyes held centuries of knowledge. He spoke of a prophecy. A great darkness would rise to consume the forest's light, and only a chosen guardian could stand against it. Elara, he said, meeting her gaze, you are that guardian. Under Arik's guidance, Elara learned the ancient ways. She learned to listen, not just hear, the whispers. She learned how to draw strength from roots and starlight, how to weave magic not through force, but harmony. On a storm-lashed night, the forest cried out. Elara sensed the darkness moving, a presence that fed on fear and silence. Accompanied by Arik, she journeyed to the ancient oak once more. From the shadows emerged a figure of living night, its form shifting and consuming light itself. Remembering Eldrin and Lyra, Elara called upon their love. Light burst forth, brilliant and pure, driving the darkness back into nothingness. When dawn came, Elara stood changed, not just a guardian by prophecy, but by choice. The village and forest lived in harmony from that day forward. The whispers remained, not as warnings, but as songs of love and protection. And the whispering forest endured, its voice echoing through the ages, reminding all who listen that love, true love, never truly fades. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel.